I start, I guess, by just letting everyone know we appreciate everyone's patience, important information that's got to be communicated. As you could well imagine, following an incident like the one that developed around 10 last night on the Brookshire, a collision of that magnitude, there were just more moving pieces than what you'd ever believe. And we're still trying to work through a lot of those moving pieces as we speak. And the process of all that, you have a 3-year-old little girl that's literally fighting for her life today. So we understand the need to get this information out fast, but we have a responsibility to make sure that the information that we're releasing is right. So I want to bring in Chief Jennings, if I could. He's going to give you a snapshot of what we know up until this point. We're also going to have Sergeant Gavin Jackson. He's with our major crash unit. He could walk you through somewhat of a timeline concerning the incident, what prompted the incident last night before we open it up to questions. So with that, I'd like to introduce Chief Jennings.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone being here. As Rob said, it's very tragic when you have a child involved in an incident like this. So we've spent a good part of the day communicating with the family of the 3-year-old and trying to keep updated on her condition and doing everything that we can to make sure that CMPD is there for support for that. So just to kind of run through a little bit about what happened last night. So officers spotted a vehicle driven by a suspect that's been wanted at Fayetteville for crimes of assaults on multiple officers, serious assault on multiple officers there. After spotting the car, officers initiated their emergency equipment in their vehicle in order to try and stop the car. It refused to stop, and it took off from the officers when a vehicle pursuit ensued. And that pursuit lasted for less than 1 minute when the officer on Brookshire attempted to make a left turn and struck 2 additional cars coming in the opposite direction. Officers were able to immediately extinguish the fire of the suspect vehicle. The fire that erupted in the suspect's vehicle with the fire extinguishers, and were able to drag the suspect out of the vehicle to safety from that and render aid, as well as rendering aid to the 3-year-old who was in the vehicle, as well as the mother and another passenger in that vehicle in another vehicle. So officers reacted quickly, performed CPR on the 3-year-old after they were unable to get a pulse and any breathing. And so with that, officers also transported that 3-year-old as they continued CPR. And at some point at the hospital, they were able to get the pulse and breathing back with the 3-year-old. That 3-year-old still remains in very critical condition. We asked the public and everyone in here to please continue to pray for her and her family as they're going through this. But just to know that the officers worked relentlessly, never gave up throughout the entire time to in their attempts to revive her, and she's still hanging in there today, and hopefully we'll get some better news down the road, but we do ask for the prayers as related to that. Internal Affairs is conducting an investigation into the pursuit and also into the vehicle accident, and also our major crash unit will be investigating the accident as well. So with that, I can answer any questions. We do have who's here? I'm sorry. Sergeant Gavin Jackson is also here to be able to answer any specific questions, but I'll leave it open, the floor open at this point.
Chief, I hope this is a point of clarification. You said initially when the officer was turning left onto 85, was it the suspect vehicle that was turning left to get onto 85, or the...
Yes, the officers were at a safe distance behind the suspect vehicle. The suspect vehicle was attempting to make that left-hand turn onto 85, and that's when the collision occurred.
Obviously, watching, do you know the relation of the little girl to the other people in the car? Was it they were parents, or?
I know that the mother was driving the vehicle. I'm not sure about the other the gentleman who was in the back seat with the little girl, but the mother was the driver from all indications that we have.
And my last question, I hope, is the pursuit. I assume that's what Internal Affairs is looking at, and so forth. Tell us a little bit, what's the policy? Is everything will 10-4 on that? Okay.
Yeah, at this point, there's no reason to believe that officers were outside of our policy. We are able to pursue for crimes dangerous to life. Given the situation that occurred in Fayetteville with the assault on multiple officers, the pursuit was valid as far as our policy is concerned. And just like I say all the time, we are always looking at our policies on where we can get better and where we can improve. And this is not going to change any of that. So we'll continue to do that. But at the same time, the policy as written now, it does appear that the officers were well within that policy.
Can I ask you two questions? The first one is, I just wanted to make sure I'm clarifying as well, that the officer's car hit the victim's car, or did the suspect's car hit that victim's car?
Oh, good question. Yeah, the officer's car, officers were not involved in the collision at all. The officers had a safe distance behind. They actually witnessed the collision. It was the suspect's vehicle that hit the vehicle that the 3-year-old was riding in, and then that vehicle also hit another vehicle that was traveling in the same direction.
Okay, the second question, it sounds like the child was hurt pretty badly. Was she in a car seat?
There was no car, the child or the person in the back seat, that there's no indication that either one of them were restrained within the vehicle. So it's a very sad situation, and just another thing that we look at as well. So.
Anybody else for the chief?
No, I know, Chief. I was going to ask you. Forgive me. I'm blind already, right? Can you tell us a little bit more about what happened in Fayetteville?
I don't have the full details. I do know that there were about multiple officers, I want to say 3 or 4 officers that were assaulted by this gentleman, and then another officer who was dragged down the road with the vehicle that the suspect was driving. I think some officers were injured during that encounter with the individual, but I don't have the full details, but I'm certain that there's a report from Fayetteville on that.
And then your officers just happened to spot his car driving on the street?
That's correct. There was a be on the lookout for bolo, basically, that was put out earlier that day. Officers were doing their due diligence and observation while they were patrolling, and they noticed the vehicle and made an attempt to stop it.
Was it a statewide bolo, or was it just reason to believe that he would be in Charlotte? Or?
There was a reason to believe he'd been in Charlotte. That we've had encounters with this gentleman in Charlotte before. Fayetteville had been in some really good communication with us to let us know that one, for our officer safety as well, if we were to encounter this gentleman, and two, to be on the lookout for this gentleman because likelihood he was in Charlotte.
Does he have can you tell us about his previous encounters, anything noteworthy? He's been arrested a lot of times.
He does have a criminal history. I'm sure you all can find that pretty easily, too.
Anybody? Chief, we appreciate you, sir.
All right. Thank
and
you.
Just some housekeeping on the back end for everyone in the room. Just I highly encourage everyone to keep a close eye on the inbox if there are any developments with the case, with the incident, with the investigation. We'll be sure to pass that along to all your respective outlets through the inbox. And once the suspect's been released from the hospital, all the appropriate charges will be filed, and we'll give you an update on that. I guess the most important thing is just to echo what Chief Jennings said about this this little girl, I mean, she's got one hell of a road ahead of her, and really good time for the community to pull together and keep her family, and everyone involved last night in their thoughts and prayers. All right, appreciate everyone.
Working diligently. I have one that's writing up some applications for warrants on the suspect. We will determine in the upcoming hours as to what action is going to be taken as far as the child.